Hi, I'm Katie Wyatt, and I am a member of a movement of thousands of people from across the world who have taken up violins instead of arms. We're in a movement and we are protesting for the protection of the right for all people, no matter their social or economic circumstances, to know beauty, to be able to have a wellspring of joy always inside of them, to be captivated and to know wonder, and to be able to struggle together for something that they believe in. In this movement, we are using music in an intense and daily practice to establish and protect these rights. The name of this movement is El Systema, the system. I first experienced El Systema 5 years ago as a violist. I was a member of the Youth Orchestra of the Americas, a cultural exchange program that brought young people together from all over North and South America to be housed in Venezuela, beginning a tour across South America. We were brought together to, of course, get to know one another, I'll admit, to party a little bit, and to play music. When we arrived in Caracas, we had auditions for the orchestra. I was a violist. I had just finished my graduate degree at the Cleveland Institute of Music, for which I had paid a lot of money. And I was playing in an orchestra in Miami. I had just taken the Detroit Symphony audition. I was doing well. I get to Venezuela and I thought, oh, surely, I'll be principal. Easy, first chair. I get there, we audition. We go to the board the next day where they've listed all the names of where we'll be sitting in the orchestra. In every principal chair is a Venezuelan. I was 25. These Venezuelans were 17 to 19 years old. I thought, oh, okay, well, I started private lessons when I was 10. Perhaps these kids started private lessons when they were 3 or 4. This must be the oil industry in Venezuela. These musicians had been a part of a movement of orchestras for children and families in poverty. They had grown up in the barrios across Venezuela, and they had been part of something called El Systema. During our tour, we traveled the country. We ended up in Rosario, Argentina. In the final performance, I'm looking out onto a sea of completely brown faces. It was like being on Mars for me, because you understand, every orchestra performance I had ever given was to almost completely white faces, Europeans. Classical music is a European art form, after all, right? Well, not in Rosario, not that night. That night, I had something in common with the people on stage and something in common with the people in the audience. And what we had in common was music. We had come from completely different backgrounds, and the way that we could communicate was wordless. Through our wordless communication, through the act of performing together, through the act of playing and struggling together in order to create something larger than ourselves, we had to agree on something without saying a word. The father of El Systema, Maestro Jose Antonio Abreu, says the orchestra is a unique community. And it is unique in that it is the only community that comes together with the exclusive and sole purpose of agreeing with itself. And to agree on what? To create beauty. Maestro Abreu was awarded the TED Prize in 2009 for his work in El Systema, a revolution of orchestras for children and families in poverty, which started in Venezuela and has now spread across the world. With his prize, he created a training program for 50 young musicians, 10 of us in our first year, to experience the revolution and the movement of El Systema and to be leaders of the development of the movement in the United States. When I returned to Venezuela this spring, now as an Abreu Fellow, I had so many questions. I wanted to know, how could I begin? I needed to develop a model of El Systema here in our state, in North Carolina, in Durham. And I wanted to know what was the right way to do it. How many days? What instruments should we start with? How intense? How on earth am I going to be able to do this all by myself? And the Venezuelans were of absolutely no help at all. They said, tranquilo, flaca. They said, the only advice that we can give you, and it's really important you take this very seriously, is that you have to start right away. You're way behind. You need to begin now, on Skype, while you're in Venezuela. It took me a few months for me to realize that what they were trying to teach me was the essence of the motto of El Systema, which is tocar y luchar, to play and to strive. I was so worried about what the end product would look like, that you have to begin with the end in mind. It is not about that. It is about simply beginning. And the answers to my questions will be found in the journey. And the change, the positive social growth that I'm looking for will occur in the struggle and in the playing. We've been at our El Systema model in Durham for all of 2 weeks now, and I have a story to share of a young boy, 5 years old, named Shahim. I picked him up for our first Saturday, really early in the morning. It was 8 a.m., and picked him up, put him in my car. His mother doesn't have a car. Drove him to the center. And, you know, I'm asking him questions. What's your name? How old are you? What's your favorite color? And Shahim's responses were totally mute, really quite silent, or just 5, blue. Really, really a very quiet boy. That was 2 weeks ago, last Saturday. This Tuesday, I taught in Shahim's elementary school, and he quite precociously walks right up to me, pulls on my skirt, says, "Excuse me, Miss Wyatt, when are we going to get our violins? Because I'm here to play a violin." We had given, in just 2 weeks, we had given Shahim his voice. And that was by making him sing for an hour every day for almost 10 hours a week. That is the kind of social change that happens in El Systema, and that is the kind of progress that we'll see in our young people. It makes sense that as a musician, I'm drawn to being part of a movement. I have always wanted to be part of something bigger than myself and to see my small role in playing and in adding to the beauty and to the success of something much greater. My big idea is to invite you to join me in this movement, in a wordless musical protest of all people's rights, no matter their social or economic status, to know beauty and to know empathy. I want to close with a video. This is the performance of the Simon Bolivar Orchestra, which is the top orchestra of El Systema, led by Gustavo Dudamel at the TED Prize conference in 2009. They're performing Shostakovich 10, and through their performance, which is fiery, and our listening, we will struggle together. Thank you.
And now we go live to Caracas to see one of Maestro Abreo's great protégés. He is the new musical director of the Los Angeles Philharmonic Orchestra. He's the greatest young conductor in the world, Gustavo Dudamel.